Hello and welcome everyone. The world of gaming and esports is rapidly evolving. Just to give you some perspective, globally the gaming industry is worth more than twice the box office and recorded music industries combined. And while there's a lot of interest back home, the Indian gaming industry is still in its early stages. Let me introduce today's stellar panel. I'm not doing this alone. As much as I'd love to, I have a stellar panel with me. Anish Arvind, Head of Publishing, India at Krafton. Prasad Mangipuri is joining us as well, Managing Director, Sports Live. Co-owner, Hyderabad Hydras. Mortal, or Naman Mathur. And I'm going to ask him a lot about that nomenclature. Esports athlete, biggest pro gamer in the house. Anish Kapoor, CEO, Infinix Mobiles India. Vishwalok Nath, Business Head, Gaming and Esports, India Today Group. Guys, please join me on stage and let us begin. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us on this session. I promise all of us on this session are tech geeks, but we will be spelling out all the tech geek lingo for you, starting off with someone who's best introduced as the Salman Khan of Indian gaming, Naman Mathur. Naman, pleasure to have you with us over here. Now, should I call you Mortal or should I call you Naman?
Mortal will do.
There's a mic on the left side.
Yeah, Mortal will do.
Okay, so you got to tell me that moniker Mortal, right? The transition from being Naman to streaming now and people literally bowing down saying, we're here to meet you, Mortal. That fan club you've come up with over the past few years, what was that transition like?
So the transition has always been upwards and the experience has been great. I was doing my BCom and I wanted to become a company secretary while studying LLB. I was also uploading videos on YouTube just for fun, just like how people go to play at 5 p.m. cricket or something. I used to play on my mobile and upload videos on YouTube 3 or 4 hours a day or something like that. That's what a kid wants, actually. And one of those videos went viral, and people started recognizing someone called Mortal. Now, Naman Mathur is not even in the picture. Everyone started recognizing Mortal, and they were like, okay. Now, back then, the game was PUBG, which made me viral, yes. Currently, it's BGMI, and we play BGMI right now. So, yeah, that game went viral, I went viral, and here I am sitting in front of you guys today.
Mortal, and it pays a lot to go viral. I'm going to get to that, but you mentioned PUBG. And someone who understands that really well is sitting right beside me. Anish, pleasure to have you with us on this panel. Now, PUBG to what Krafton now calls BGMI. Guys, the PUBG wala ladka now plays BGMI in India. Mortal's going to tell us a little bit more about the game a little later. But Anish, what's that rebranding exercise been like? Because I'm guessing it was quite an uphill task.
Hello, everyone. When Krafton decided to do the publishing in India, we looked at what the market is and where it's going to grow. And we obviously looked at the player base that's over here and how passionate they are. So we said we are going to launch Battlegrounds Mobile India. And that took a bit of time, and the players went really clamoring as to release it now. We need it like right now. And when we released, it has been phenomenal actually. Within a few weeks, we were able to get like 40 million downloads and 16 million DAU. And more than the numbers, what we have seen is the passion for the players to actually, about the game, about the relationship that they have made in the game, between friends, between parents and children, between actually boyfriends and girlfriends. We have seen all of this actually evolving within BGMI and getting it stronger. So we looked at the passion and yeah, that's something that we really would like to build our product towards. And yeah, it has been phenomenal really.
You know, you mentioned the Indian parents and the children equation. We should ask Naman what that's like. But forgive me, our session is called King Kong, the multi-billion-dollar world of gaming, and why India is still playing catch-up. And that's something that Anish alluded to as well. Naman, I need to ask you this bit as well. I'm going to keep bringing you in while everyone from the industry is talking as well. Has that led to your fan base going up exponentially? And did you find, well, a partner maybe again when you were playing Battlegrounds?
No, I did not. In my case, this was not the thing. I mean, I'm well
Okay,
off
how
before
did
that.
your parents react when Naman transitioned into Mortal? Was that something you had to convince them back at home, saying, "Look, I'm a mobile gamer, and now I am transitioning into an esports athlete, perhaps the foremost esports athlete in India"?
So transitioning into an e-sport athlete or maybe mortal was not something in my hand. I did not have that in my mind that I'll be transitioning. It was something that, as I said, I went viral and it had to happen. Now, convincing my parents, my dad had passed away when I was 4 years old and my mom was super happy with the first income that I made, which was, I can obviously say that, 1,04,000 rupees. And my mom was like, "ठीक है, let's give it 1 year's time. Let's see how it goes." And within a few months, they were like, "Beta, ab yahi kar lo."
Fair enough. Vishwalok, this is where I want to bring you in. India Today Group, one of the biggest media networks out here, and now we're seeing such a strong push into gaming. Something that you worked on personally is something that Naman and all the gamers have been waxing lyrical about for the longest time, which is ESPL. And you have some mega plans. Do you want to share them with us right now?
Yeah, definitely. As India Today Group, we started India Today Gaming in October 2019. That was our first tournament. In fact, we launched Free Fire in the country. That was their also first tournament as an offline kind of a e-sporting tournament. We were very skeptical. We thought that maybe 10, 20,000 people are going to participate. But to our surprise, we got 1,25,000 registrations for that and 12 million video views. And graduating from October 2019 to now, in 1.5 years, we created ESPL, which is the first ever franchisee format tournament, like an IPL format in gaming. And we got 1 million registrations and 100 million video views, like 10x jump in 1.5 years. That's the kind of numbers. Like, it's staggering. It's amazing. And with ESPL, this is the first ever franchisee format tournament in the world. And we also have Prasad with us, who has like invested and got the first team of ESPL, the Hyderabad Hydras.
You mentioned Prasad, and I must share this with you guys. All the sports buffs in the audience, Prasad is perhaps the coolest person to have a conversation with, even off stage, about the sporting ecosystem in India. He's no stranger to the sports broadcast industry as well, of course, with PBL. That's a concept that you've come up with, and it's doing really well. You've also worked on a snooker league in the past. But now, getting into esports and gaming, Prasad, this is a different ballgame altogether. Are we waiting for that watershed moment for esports and gaming where it gets that legitimacy, where we can start talking about it in the same breath as conventional sports?
Thanks once again. Hello, all of you. I think, having spent 6 years in the traditional sports ecosystem, I think, it has its own journey. We've seen that so that goes. And as we realize, I think, there's also a certain segment of the current population who are not into traditional sports. So I think we have this much bandied term, democratic dividends. So this is where I think, we have, India apparently produces about 2 crore children every year. So that means today I have about 2 crore 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, I think. So this segment, I think, are outside the traditional sports right now. So I think, we've been following it, but when India Today came to us and this with offer, it looked too, irresistible. So because so far I think the industry has been growing, I think, largely in the individual basis, like people like, Mortal growing it. But when an iconic brand like India Today comes on board, we know this is a tipping point. I think the industry is going to really explode. And I think I can also assure you, having seen the traditional sport, if in a traditional sport, let's say Sindhu takes 11 years or 12 years to become a world champ or build a medal, but this is a sport where I'm very sure, I think, we'll be producing global champions probably in the shortest period of time. So because this ecosystem is like, it's highly democratized. Like Mortal, I think in a matter of 3 years' time, has become an icon. So we've seen that, this is a new age sport. So we have to be in. And this can also give India a great soft image, I think, as you're all aware, it's also part of Asian Games, Olympic Games. So soon, like today we saw Naveen Chopra, and I think we may have medal winners coming next couple of years, conclave, who will be speaking about their experience as the medal winners. So it was actually no-brainer for us when this came in. I think, we said, I think, we have to be there.
Interesting, Prasad. You did mention the Asian Games inclusion as well, and that's when I'm going to come to Anish over here, because one of the best and the most popular games comes under your banner. And globally, that's PUBG. And the rendition of it which we have, the version of it which we have in India, is BGMI. So Naman, I'm sure, has this question at the back of his head, as does every pro gamer in the country. At the Asian Games, when India competes, and we play a key role at the Asian Games, will they be playing PUBG or India's BGMI?
So AESF, they have announced the 8 games that will be considered medal events in the Asian Games. And the Olympics Committee and the Asian Games Federation, they are figuring out the format and the logistics as to how this should be conducted, all right? So for us, we are certainly talking with them and again, understanding what exactly, how we select, how we send, and all of that. But certainly, we're looking forward to conducting that and sending people over there to have that. I just want to add a little bit more over there. Esports being part of Asian Games, it certainly adds a lot of legitimacy to esports, right? Not just the games which are participating, it's for the entire video games industry, actually. And certainly, participating and competing for your country, it's a great feeling. I would totally understand that for any player going over here, right? But even for Asian Games, this is needed. How do you attract the young crowd to watch your games? So for us, we need Asian Games. I believe that Asian Games needs us as well as much, actually. That's what I would say.
So from one Anish on the panel, we're now moving to the other Anish on the panel, Anish Kapoor from Infinix Mobiles. Anish, welcome to our panel.
Thank you, Ayush.
And what I wanted to ask you was, now, you're running a smartphone company here in India, and I've noticed that there are a lot of product innovations that smartphone manufacturers are coming with. I was talking to Naman earlier as well, and there's so many features that make gaming easier for the young generation that's playing gaming, for everyone tuned in. There are things like a higher refresh rate on your mobile. If Naman was playing on a phone with I mean, he'd beat me anyways, but if he was playing on a phone with a 60 hertz refresh rate, and I was on a 120 hertz refresh rate, like the new iPhones, I would perhaps be able to spot Naman sooner and perhaps knock him out in the game as well. So there are small technicalities that smartphone companies are working on, low input lag as well, without getting too technical. What is Infinix doing in this space to promote gaming? Because I know there's a casual gamer, there's a hyper-casual gamer, and then there's a pro gamer like Naman. Are you guys looking at the budget smartphone space for gaming, or is this going to be more of a premium sort of a thing?
So, a great question, Ayush. I think what we have seen, essentially what we saw, e-gaming or e-sports, it took off during pandemic. So one of the things which came out of pandemic, which was pretty, while there are a lot of negatives, but a lot of positives also came out of that time frame. And the numbers came staggering. I think we had some close to 100 million downloads on new gamers which were added during pandemic. So it became, it was like something, and something which we used to receive as a feedback, okay, this is what you should really come out with gaming phones or something which is capable of gaming or esports. The problem right now is people perceive gaming as only playing those 3-4 heavy-duty games.
Correct.
But I think esports has to do much more than that. It is a lot of other natural sports or normal sports which have gone into esports format now. So yes, we are doing a lot of stuff. In fact, there's a whole bunch of work happening in the R&D space. We introduced a Darling technology, which is very specific to us, wherein we are actually giving that opportunity to people to experience good gaming in a budget segment as well. So when we talk about budget segment, 8 to 20,000 is where we want to really put our focus and energies on, because as you rightly said, now esports is going to be an Asian game kind of event, where I think we have close to 8 gold medals or 24 medals on stake now. So I think once you get into that kind of space wherein you think this can be massified or can be taken to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 kind of audience and get younger people involved, and it can become a career for them. So I think that's what is the journey which we intend to take along with you or along with the people who are really looking at this as a career option. So you will see a lot of work happening there. And most of our devices are very capable because when we talk about this, it's a bigger screen, more RAM, ROM. So those capabilities along with a good chipset and bigger battery, of course, fast charging. So these are the things which help gaming a lot. So I think apart from Darlink, to make the gaming experience much smoother, I think these are the things which become standard for us. So I think that's what we are going to do and continue to do so.
So Anish, to sum it up, for all the parents who are tuned in and their kids are insisting on a new gaming console or a really expensive computer, because I know gaming computers and PCs can be expensive, and a PlayStation or an Xbox is almost elusive, right? Considering what's happening with the global chip shortage. So would you perhaps recommend a really high-end smartphone? Is that the way forward to placate all these concerns about being in the gaming space for all the young ones?
See, I think...
have we reached there yet?
No, I think that's what I'm saying. So we have seen mobile gaming taking off. I think right now, close to 45% of the gamers right now do gaming on mobile phones. So I think it's a personal choice. Let me put it like this. But what we see is mobile gaming becoming the new norm over a period of time. Yes, there are professional gamers like Naman who may want to disagree with me, but I still think there's a great opportunity, and with the 5G technology coming into play, we'll certainly see a huge opportunity or range of phones which will be quite capable for gaming experience.
Interesting. You mentioned Naman. Naman, now the spotlight is on you. And I want to ask you, for all the parents tuned in, right? If I consider a career in professional gaming, esports, right? And I'll come to the distinctions with Prasad and Vishwalok in a bit. But if I consider a career where I am streaming on my YouTube channel, so I become a content creator, and then, of course, I'm participating in the ESPL and representing India on the international level, is it, well, a realistic, practical choice as a career option? And I know this sounds a little far-fetched, but that's where we are. That's the pioneer. That's what you were pioneering in terms of this space. Is it a legitimate option? And I'll put you on the spot. How much money does it make if it is a legitimate career option?
That completely depends on the games which I've invested in India. First thing, adding on to the previous question, I would like to do that. You do not need a specific device, a high-end device to play a particular game. Casual gamers can play on any game, but at professional level, it depends on the game. What are their requirements? It's not necessary that every person is going to play a battle royale game, a very high-end game. Some might play a MOBA game, which is a, 2D game or something like that. And there is esports in that too. At global level, there is. 20,000 worth of device can definitely work for those people at professional level too. Now moving on to the question where is it a wise career option? I would say esports is a completely different thing, and being a streamer or a content creator is a completely different thing. I was someone who initially became a content creator, a YouTuber, and then we can say, my audience was like, "Tu yahan to khel leta hai, tournament mein khel ke dikha." So that was the pressure under which I went on and played a few tournaments, won the first two, and then I was like, okay, I can balance it right now. So I am completely agreeing to this, ki we can balance esports and content creation and being a YouTuber, but I would say one is the, choosing one is the right option because it requires a lot of mental pressure and physical pressure. You have to sit and play for a very long time, and then at night you have to stream. So I would say that only one will be better.
So you clearly evaded my salary question, because everyone in the audience wanted to know, a lawyer makes this much, an engineer makes this much. How much does a pro gamer make?
So I cannot go on with the exact numbers.
Give me
because
a ballpark,
I do not
an estimate.
An estimate also depends on the number of tournaments in the particular year. Okay, so if I'm playing one tournament which is worth $30,000, if I win, that's the entire prize pool. Now I'm going to get maybe 3 lakhs out of it. That's all. If I win, I'm going to get 3 lakhs.
I'm sure you'd win.
So
I'm glad
So
you've been transparent.
what I'm saying
about
is that's not enough right now. We need to have more tournaments in more games.
And you need different revenue streams. So it
Right.
makes sense to not just be a pro gamer and participate in leagues, but to build on your social media presence, to also have a YouTube channel where you're streaming because that adds to engagement.
That does, but that's a lot of stress, as I mentioned earlier.
Okay, so tell me something. This is very important because for the larger audience watching, like I said, parents are concerned about this, right? Especially over the past couple of years, when we've all been holed in at home, it's become a little more stressful in terms of all of us on our phones, on social media, the usage has gone up, and a lot of people are playing games, right? A lot of casual and hyper-casual gamers have come about in the last 1.5 years. What are the kinds of maybe restrictions or checks and balances? When I was growing up, we had the 8-bit and 16-bit video games, right? After 1 or 2 hours, I knew my parents had locked it up in a cupboard with lock and key. How do I do that on the smartphones now with the teenagers?
See, being a casual gamer is a complete different thing. A casual gamer can set up his time that I want to play for 1 hour or 2 hours a day and end it. An esport player has to play 6 hours a day. It's like a job to him. Just like any other office, he has to sit there, play with his team. There has to be a discipline in his life that he needs to follow. And the entire team, I mean, everyone has to follow it together. They have to wake up at the same time. They have to sleep at the same time. They need to play. They need to have a team discussion. There needs to be a player manager. There needs to be a coach if required. All of these things are necessary. And talking about esports as a career option, it's not only about being a gamer, but there can be a graphic designer who is working as in esports or maybe in content creation on YouTube. There can be a manager, an analyst, a coach. There are so many various options as esport grows in India.
Fair enough, Mortal. Prasad, I want to bring you in on this one. You have a treasure trove of experience when it comes to the sporting ecosystem in India. Some of the things Naman was mentioning are interesting because I don't know if parents and family members understand some of these things. It is taxing to be playing these games professionally, to be streaming for 4 or 5 hours competitively, engaging. There is this fear of a burnout for a lot of these creators like Naman and people aspiring to be at Naman's level. You've seen how traditional athletes have approached this. Is there that sort of concern that we should have safeguards in place for people getting into esports and gaming as well?
Yeah, it's a very valid point because in traditional sport, I think, there is a physical activity. So people feel, I think, at least is going outdoor, is playing, there's a health aspect of it. Whereas I think, anything to do with the mobile phone, there's a huge stigma attached to it. Like even if you're watching some music or anything. So that is something ingrained into like our own, Indian parenting societal system, I think. I hope it changes because I think, this is inevitable. This is going to grow. So my advice, I think, to the parents would be, I think, get into it, understand, I think, and negotiate with them. In fact, which is what we, as a Hydras, our team, we recognize this from the beginning because in India, like, the moment you say mobile, kitne देर से खेल रहा हो? Like, so, because I have a 14-year-old daughter, so I also keep a tab on her. So it's better to become friends with them. So we actually already have a psychologist on board who's going to counsel both the players as well as parents. Because parents also need to have, come forward a couple of steps to, to be part of their children's, this gamer's life, become friends, then they can at least maybe have some control. But if you completely shun it or you completely shut it, then it will lead to conflict. That can lead to a lot of mental issues also. So we clearly, I think, very clear. In fact, we've done a first podcast about 2 weeks back, and we're going to do one more, I think. We plan to do every 2 weeks, I think. And we also want to do collaborate with other people to see how we can actually counsel the parents to see, allow them and negotiate, put some incentives, put some disincentives, like any other field. Children want a lot of things in life. But we as the parents have to see that. So I think, this is going to be unstoppable right now. So the faster we all come to terms with it, and with all the stakeholders work together, probably that's where I think, we have to maybe work on educational campaigns, to educate both sides and say, hey, I think, enjoy your thing and don't get into trouble by playing, it could happen with any other game also.
Vishwalok, I think we should be taking our notes out there for the next league that we're launching at the India Today group. But that's something I want to highlight as well. It's not easy to sort of come up with a franchisee format in this space, something that wasn't done in India before. And that's something that you worked on. What was your experience like, especially going and pitching to clients and getting so many big brands on board, convincing them that this isn't the next big thing, this is the King Kong moment?
Definitely. You know, before that, I would like to really give you one comparison with cricket because, you know, when we talk about sports in India, cricket is like a religion, right? You know, that is the biggest sport. And, you know, it will answer one of the questions that you asked Mortal also, which he ducked about the, you know, earnings. Cricket World Cup has a prize pool of around $15 million. The Fortnite World Cup has a prize pool of $30 million. And International 9 Dota 2, the prize pool is $40 million, right? This is the prize pool comparison. So you can make out from traditional sport, the esports is like, you know, almost 2 to 3x. If you talk about, you know, the viewership, the T20 World Cup finals got a viewership of around 40 million, whereas the League of Legends finals got a viewership of 100 million with 44 million concurrent. So the concurrent viewership was more than the full day viewership of the finals, right? So these are the numbers, right? So when we started ESPL, which is the franchisee format, and we just said that, okay, we'll start with only one franchisee we are going to sell. And we got Prasad on board. The remaining 7, I've been getting queries, right? You know, when are you opening that up, right? Because the way this industry is growing, the way the numbers are, you know, this is going to be the future. And if we are talking about the legitimacy. Earlier, it was like people were considering esports or gaming as kids play. You know, there are kids who are just playing on their mobile devices. But look at the numbers. And now with Olympics Association recognizing it and, you know, actually having esports as a part of Asian Games, it is the biggest legitimacy that you can ask for. And the numbers are supporting it. So the industry is definitely going to grow. And we are getting fantastic response. I have queries kind of lined up for the teams to be sold. I have queries lined up for the sponsorships. We are coming up with the next tournament called World Esports Cup, which is the first ever India versus Pakistan versus Nepal. So that is going to be phenomenal, right? So, you know, I think this is the best move that we have, you know, made in this direction, and it is really paying off.
Fantastic, Vishwalok. We have very little time left on the timer, and that means the spotlight comes back on the rock star of the evening, Mortal. Not immortal. In the game, you should be immortal, though. We shouldn't knock you out. No chicken dinners there. But, Naman, I want to end with this whole, the pressure of the tag that comes with being the first guy to have cracked it in this sort of a way at this scale. I want you to tell our viewers, which includes your fans and many parents of those fans, what the way forward is for the industry and how do you see it really evolving, right? With the way things are happening in the technology world, right? What do you see in terms of this industry growing and how should parents be viewing this?
Firstly, it's not pressure, it's an opportunity. And I would say that it's growing at a great pace. Earlier, you had asked me what is the career option, which one to choose. If a child lifts up a trophy, he becomes a YouTuber by default. Because if he lifts up a trophy, he'll have audience watching him. They'll start following him. They'll become his fan. And eventually, he'll become a YouTuber. So that's the right way to become both the, jump on both the boats. Now, as I expect that more and more games are going to come in India and invest, I feel esports is going to grow at a very large rate, very huge rate. And this is what it is. Being the first esport, not the first esport player, but in mobile esports, lifting up the first trophy, I feel I might compete in future esports in other games too, maybe. I might, because I would love people to know about it. Being at this position, as I said, it's an opportunity for me. I want to create an opportunity for others. To others that they see, ki, yeah, there's esports, there's more. Apart from just one game, there's more to it. There are many other games where we can actually compete, we can earn, we can even run a YouTube channel. So, yeah.
Yeah, you spelled it out for all of us. Thanks so much for all of that. I mean, just to wrap up, guys, this is no longer the new kid on the block. The gaming industry is here to stay. And the one takeaway from this panel is, well, this is the King Kong moment, like we called it. India is right at the forefront catching up. And of course, we're at the start of something very, very special. Thanks so much for joining. And thank you for this panel and for the lovely engagement that we've had today.